He sold his house to pay his son's debt. She sold his house to save his SO in the day. James sold his house. He didn't tell anyone, not his neighbors, not his friends, not even his daughter. He simply packed a small suitcase, locked the front door for the last time, and stood on the sidewalk looking at the place he had called home for 43 years. He was 79 years old, and that house wasn't just a house, it was where he had raised his children, where his wife had laughed, where his grandchildren had taken their first steps, where every Christmas morning had begun, and now he was walking away from it, all because of one phone call. 3 weeks earlier, James had been sitting in his kitchen drinking coffee when his phone rang, it was his son, Daniel. James immediately knew something was wrong. Daniel rarely called during the day. Dad? James put down his coffee. What happened? There was silence. Then Daniel said, I messed up. James closed his eyes. What do you mean? I owe money. How much? Daniel didn't answer. James waited. Finally, Daniel whispered, everything is gone. James's heart sank. Daniel had always been the adventurous one. He had started a small construction business. At first, it had gone well. Then a major project collapsed. A business partner disappeared. Bills piled up. Loans came due. And suddenly, Daniel was drowning. How much do you owe? James asked again. Daniel finally told him. James sat silently at the kitchen table. It was more money than Daniel could ever afford. Dad, I'm sorry. James looked through the window. Where are you? At home. Stay there. I'm coming. That evening, James drove to his son's house. Daniel was sitting on the front steps. His head was in his hands. When he saw his father, he stood up. Dad, I didn't want to call you. James hugged him. No, I thought I could fix it. No, I ruined everything. James stepped back and looked into his son's eyes. No. Daniel started crying. I did. James shook his head. You made a mistake. That's different. Daniel wiped his face. I don't know what to do. James put his hand on his son's shoulder. Then we'll figure it out. That night, James barely slept. He sat at his kitchen table until 3 in the morning. He looked around the house. Photographs. The furniture. The old wooden clock. Everything reminded him of his wife, Linda. She had died 6 years earlier. Before she died, she had once told him, promise me you'll always take care of the children. James had smiled. I always will. Now he wondered what that promise was worth. The next morning, James called a real estate agent. He didn't tell Daniel. He didn't tell his daughter, Sarah. He simply asked one question. How quickly can I sell my house? 2 weeks later, the house was sold. James used almost all of the money to pay Daniel's debts. The first time Daniel found out, he was furious. You sold the house? James nodded. You can't do this. I already did. Dad, where are you going to live? I'll figure it out. You're almost 80. James smiled. I'm old, not helpless. Daniel shook his head. You shouldn't have done this. James looked at him. You're my son. That doesn't mean you have to sacrifice everything for me. James became quiet. Then he said, maybe not, but I'm your father. And sometimes, a father doesn't think about the cost. He only thinks about saving his child. A week later, James moved into a small rented apartment. It was nothing like his old house. There was no backyard. No garden. No family photographs on the walls. No fireplace. No room where his children had grown up. Just one bedroom, one kitchen, One small living room, and a silence he wasn't used to. On his first night there, James unpacked one box. Inside was an old photograph of Linda. He placed it on the table. Then he sat beside it. I hope I did the right thing. His voice broke. I hope you would have understood. For several weeks, Daniel visited almost every day. He brought groceries. He fixed things around the apartment. He tried to make his father laugh, but James noticed something. Daniel had changed. He was no longer the careless young man who thought everything would work out. He had become quiet. Responsible. Humble. One evening, Daniel sat beside his father. Dad? Yes? Why didn't you tell Sarah? James looked at him. She would have stopped me. Daniel smiled. Sadly, she would have. She loves you. I know. James looked at the photograph of Linda. Your mother would have done the same thing. Daniel lowered his head. I don't deserve you. James shook his head. Don't ever say that. Why? Because love isn't something you deserve. Daniel looked confused. James continued. Love is something people choose to give. Then he smiled. Your mother chose me. I chose her. And we chose you. Daniel's eyes filled with tears. Even when I make mistakes? Especially then. A year passed. Daniel rebuilt his business. Slowly. Carefully. He paid his bills. He worked harder than ever. And every Sunday, he visited his father. One Sunday morning, Daniel arrived carrying a large envelope. What's that? James asked. Daniel placed it on the table. Open it. James opened the envelope. Inside was a bank check. James looked at it. What is this? The first payment. For what? Daniel smiled. For your house. James stared at him. You don't owe me anything. I know. Then why? Because you gave me your home. James shook his head. I gave you a second chance. Daniel sat down. And I want to give you something back. Over the next 3 years, Daniel saved every dollar he could. He wasn't just trying to repay money. He was trying to repay sacrifice. Then one morning, Daniel arrived at his father's apartment. Dad. James looked up. What? Put on your jacket. Why? Just trust me. They drove for 20 minutes. Then Daniel pulled into a quiet neighborhood. James looked around. What are we doing here? Daniel pointed toward a house. James stared. It was a beautiful little house. Not enormous. Not luxurious. But it had a small garden, a porch, and then a large window overlooking a quiet street. James turned toward his son. What is this? Daniel handed him a set of keys. It's yours. James didn't understand. What? I bought it. James stared at the keys. You can't afford this. I can now. Daniel, I spent 3 years fixing the mistake I made. He took a breath. You spent 43 years giving me everything. James's eyes filled with tears. I don't need a house. Daniel smiled. Yes, Dad, you do. Because you deserve to come home too. James looked at the house. Then at his son. He couldn't speak. Daniel hugged him. And James finally broke down. He cried into his son's shoulder. Not because he was sad. Not because for the first time he realized his sacrifice had not been wasted. That Daniel had learned. He had grown. He had become the man James always hoped he would become. A few months later, James moved into the new house. He placed Linda's photograph on the mantle. He planted flowers in the garden. And on the first Sunday after moving in, Daniel came over with his wife and children. The house filled with noise, children running, people laughing, food Cooking. Someone dropped a glass. Someone laughed too loudly. And Jane smiled. He sat on the porch and watched them. His granddaughter ran outside. Grandpa. Yes, sweetheart? Are you happy? James looked toward the house. Then toward Linda's photograph through the window. Yes, he smiled. I'm very happy. His granddaughter climbed onto his lap. Why? James looked at her. Because sometimes, he said softly, you have to lose a house to find your home again. She didn't understand. She was too young, but one day, she would. That evening, after everyone left, James sat alone on the porch. The neighborhood was quiet. He looked at the house. Then he whispered, Linda, I think you would have been proud of him. A gentle smile appeared on his face. I kept my promise. And somewhere inside that quiet little house, James no longer felt like a man who had lost everything. He felt like a father who had given everything and received something far more valuable in return. Because sometimes parents make sacrifices their children don't understand. Sometimes they give up things they spent a lifetime building. And sometimes, years later, their children finally understand the price of that sacrifice. If your parents are still alive, don't wait until they're gone to ask what they gave up for you. Ask them now. Sit beside them. Listen to their stories, because there may be sacrifices they made that you will never know about unless you ask. And sometimes the greatest gift a child can give a parent isn't money. It isn't a new house. It isn't an expensive present. It's simply looking them in the eyes and saying, Dad, Mom, I know what you did for me, and I will never forget it.